right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Self-Care Tools for Thriving with me, Stacey Stone, and my friend and colleague, Marla Waal. And today we're just going to talk briefly about what it takes or what we feel is required for total body fitness, health, wellness kind of thing. Taking nutrition out of the picture. One thing that has really come into clear view for me is I have a lot of people, clients, prospective clients say to me, I'm losing mobility as I age, or there's pain. I can't get down on my hands and knees anymore. One woman just told me this the other day, and she's probably early 60s. She said she hasn't been down on her hands and knees in 15 years.
Wow.
And so my response was like, well, if you have grandchildren someday, wouldn't it be cool to get down on the floor and play with them and be able to get back up? And she said, oh yeah, definitely. So when I started to investigate her approach to fitness, I saw that the cardiovascular piece was the main component. There were a couple of stretches, and I really mean a couple of stretches thrown in there. But the main component was cardio. She rides her bike every day. If she doesn't do that, she swims or goes for a walk. That is awesome. But that piece to the fitness regimen, routine, exercise routine, movement routine, whatever you want to call it, is not going to do much at all to improve her ability to get down on the floor and get back up again.
Right.
So for myself, in the 20 years of doing this and coming from a personal training background, having some yoga in there, Eldoa, and just all these various ways of working with the body, but also with an understanding of the anatomy and physiology of the body, I've really come to see that it's important that we have the cardiovascular training within our fitness routine. But I see that it is equally important to have a mobility component as well as a strengthening component. So that, to address the strengthening, it could be body weight strengthening, dumbbells, bands. You could do that through yoga and holding poses. But the mobility piece is something that I just felt like it would be a good idea to tap into more today, because I know you see that as well, Marla. So, the fear for this woman was like, get down on the floor, I can't get back up again. But she's also got really bad knees, so there's the fear of putting pressure on the knees. My response was, that's what I specialize in. Over the 20 years, I wish I had it all written down of the number of joint replacements, aches, pains, this injury, that I've helped people to work with. Just because your knees are bad, as you say, doesn't mean they're gone to hell and they're never going to work again. Chances are, at least from my perspective, is that pain, that strain, that tightness that you're sensing, whether it's in your knees or any other part of the body, is actually from lack of use, improper use, imbalanced use. And we get enough of that accumulates, then all of a sudden one day we wake up, we're like, oh my God, I can't get up off the floor. So we never do it again. So the work that Marla and I both do with people is in this ability to meet the body where it's at. We'll use this woman as an example. You can't get down on the floor. You've had some knee surgeries. There's a fear of putting pressure on the knees. So that means we're not just going to put you down on the floor and say, good luck. We're going to teach you ways to mobilize the knee joint, the ankle joint, the hip joint, so that you can get closer and closer to the floor. We're going to teach you ways to get back up off the floor, because the body is it's a machine that it's a use it or lose it. So if you stop using your knee joint and you just go to sit, and every time you sit, you go to here from here, right? You're going to lose the ability to get down here and come back up again. Okay. And it's not to say that that is our goal for you. We have to work with your body's limitations, but not to ignore them, but to honor them and learn how to work around them, how to get you moving as well as possible for as long as possible. So I think that's an important thing that we need to make known, is that there's such thing as a balanced approach to our exercise routines. If you want to get stronger cardiovascularly, do lots of cardio. If we want to get stronger muscularly, we got to lift weights. We want to work on our mobility. We've got to have a intelligent mobility program. And sometimes that means you're going to need to work with one-on-one someone like Marla or I to help you with that. What you learned
Yeah,
in gym
there's
class a long time ago,
mhm.
40 years ago, probably isn't going to be your best option right now.
No, exactly. I just want to, I have a couple of things to say on that. One of them is that I think as we age, our comfort zone tends to get a little smaller and a little smaller. Our comfort zone for all kinds of things. So, we all know that it's good to keep learning. There's lots of people who do their Sudoku, or however you say that. They do their puzzles, they do their crossword, they do their things, their mental gym.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same is really important for our body and just for our own essence, to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. Because if you only stay in your comfort zone, that comfort zone is just going to continue to get smaller and smaller. Something I haven't mentioned yet on this, in our little discussions on here, but I have psoriatic arthritis. So I have a type of arthritis that has kind of been weaving its way through my body, and I'm working on ways to manage that. But one of the results is that occasionally I can't really bend my knees either. Like, I have a hard time getting down to the floor, or, I sort of have little flare-ups or good days and bad days kind of thing. But because of the work that I do, I work with people physically. I actually often don't talk about this very much. So it's a little bit, vulnerable for me. But at the same time, because of the work that I do, I end up having to work with people physically and bring them into positions, and I'm really focused on getting them to where they need to go. What the result is that I end up doing things that I didn't think I was going to be able to do that day. Meaning, I'll sort of, there's a certain type of pain that comes with arthritis or these types of things, and you have to know yourself and know your body and know the type of arthritis you have. But working with a certain amount of discomfort is just going to be part of it. Now I'm working on, you said we're leaving the nutrition piece out of it because that's a huge subject, and using nutrition and other good new habits to help work my way out of this type of pain. That's a whole other subject, as you say. However, if I just stay in my comfort zone and I don't push myself out, I don't do some of the movements that are maybe I feel a little concerned or there's some discomfort, yet I know that I'm not actually doing any damage. Um, there's an important distinction within that. And that's why, as you say, sometimes having a one-to-one instruction, some guidance through that. How do you move through that discomfort towards, so if I move through that, by the time I'm done, like the later part of the day, I have way more mobility than when I first started out. And that's the nature of arthritis. You wake up and everything's all kind of sticky and glommy and it's hard to move. And then just by moving, things start to get a little more slidey, and you start to get, by about midday or so, you feel much better. But that's if you do movement.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if
So
you
I do think it's this important idea of the comfort zone. So someone who just accepts that, okay, my knees are bad and they're just going to keep getting worse, and I'm old. I'm going to sit in a chair and I'm just going to, watch my grandkids play on the floor. Well, then that's going to be your recipe. So Stacey and I are here to share and our experiences of helping people move beyond that, move outside of that. My goal is for myself and for my clients that in older age, you're able to enjoy your grandkids. You're able to go on a moderate hike and enjoy yourself and not pay for it for the next week, or not be worried that you're not going to be able to get down the mountain once you've gone partway up. And I think it's important, the mindset, and that's what we really wanted to do with these talks that we do here, these podcasts, is to talk about mindset. It really is, what are you willing to accept, and what are you willing to challenge yourself on?
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah. And that's, we really, I think, need to stop and consider that at whatever age we're at. What are the things that we are just accepting as part of this moving body? Oh, I'm getting old, and this is a part of getting old. Aches and pains are more aches and pains from lack of use or misuse. And there's a way to balance that out. I think what's coming to mind is I took a yoga class with this great guy this morning, and he kept saying, practice makes practice. But that's not our normal. We say practice makes perfect. So if we have that as our belief, practice makes perfect, and I've been practicing and I'm not perfect yet, well, screw it. Then I'm just going to throw all that out the window, because I've been practicing stretching my hamstrings for 2 weeks and I still can't get down on the floor.
Right.
Practice to practice. We practice to make that slow chipping away of whatever it is we're working at. So it's this cumulative effect. And that's the thing with these self-care tools. That's all they really are, is we're just consistently applying them. We're consistently applying this stretch that you learned from Marla and I, for example, to get your hips and ankles more mobile so you can get to the floor. you're consistently practicing, you know, getting outside and going for a walk because you know the fresh air does great things for you. You're consistently practicing your eldoa because you know it's good for your spine and it makes your spine feel better. Consistently practicing balanced nutrition because you know how that makes you feel. It's a practice that we keep working on, and sometimes we don't do it. Fine, but we're going to wake up the next day and we're going to start doing it again. Take that day off. But we do, I think that's where we get into trouble, is we have this mindset of perfection. Well, I've got to do it every day, you know? So some of these people that I was speaking with, well, how many minutes a day should I be stretching or exercising? I want to say to people, at the very minimum, 10 minutes a day. Give your moving body some attention for at least 10 minutes a day. You give yourself 3 minutes in the morning and night to brush your teeth. That's 6 minutes. If you could just give that to your moving body on a daily basis, you'd be amazed. So there's some of us that don't move consistently, you would be amazed. And begin to check into those things that are more challenging for you. Like Marla said, get outside that box, those, you know, parameters, and start expanding a little bit more. Where do you have that rigidity of thought where it's like, well, I can't do that anymore? Is it because you think that? Do you know that to be true? And that's where the self-care tools come into play. It's like, okay, let's try applying this just gently every day without thinking I have to master it, because, you know, let's just even put that mastery perfection out the window. It's just this consistent practice. So much of life is just practice. Practicing for, you know, the next day and the next day and the next day.
So true. I think that sometimes people look at someone like us who have a life history and a background in fitness and exercise, and I was a professional dancer, and so they'll kind of easily say, oh, well, that's you, you know, and because I achieved that level of mastery in dance, well, I'm not interested in that level of mastery anymore. I'm interested in, so we have to, you know, it's a matter of like, what are you genuinely interested in? What do you genuinely want for your life and for yourself? And just because you're contemplating doing something a little bit every day doesn't mean you're on a track to be some kind of professional athlete, or, you know, that's not just for those people. And people like Stacey and I, who have studied this stuff to learn how to move in a way that respects the design of your body.
Yeah.
To how do we keep our spine healthy? How do we put just the right amount of effort into something? You know, that's where we can guide you. That's where we can help you. It's not about achieving some kind of prowess. And many years ago, I was up in Whistler, which is near Vancouver, and in the summertime, they put out some, you know, fun things for families and kids. And there was this trapeze. And my memory and my understanding of myself was like, I'm not that scared of heights. And I've done all kinds of gymnastics. I've done all kinds of stuff. Of course, I hadn't for like, you know, 25 years. But I looked at this and I looked at who was doing this trapeze and I thought, yeah, I can do that. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. You get up there. Oh my goodness. I could not. I think I grabbed onto the bar. I swang out. I came back and I came back down. And I wasn't expecting that. And it was just sort of funny to me to see that huge gap between my perception of myself, my understanding of myself, and then what I actually was able to do once I got up there. And I only say that in the sense that day it was a surprise, but I was able to let that go because, you know, I'm going to be 50 and I don't really need to go up on a trapeze. Yeah, I can let that go. However, in my life, I want to be able to go on a long walk. I want to be able to do a moderate hike. I want to be able to, you know, my kids are young. My oldest is 12. So I want to be around when he has grandkids and get down on the floor with them and stuff like that. So these are my goals now. I was a professional dancer, but now my goals are more around life and lifestyle. And I don't want to let those things go. I don't want to let go getting on the floor with my grandkids. I'm willing to let the trapeze go.
I don't know. It could be a second career, Marla. Come on now.
No, I'm good. Well,
I think that puts us in a good spot to, you know, wrap this up and say to people, what are you passionate about? What do you see yourself doing in life? Or where are your limitations right now? And if you could just take yourself at this age right now, we'll use the example of getting down on the floor on your knees. How is that going to be 10, 20 years from now. It's not going to get any better if you don't address it now, but how is that going to affect your life? Like, it makes me think of, I have so many clients that love to garden. You can't really get into too much gardening if you can't get down on your hands and knees and get up again. I also say to people, what if you just trip and fall in your house, but you have nothing around you to grab onto and you can't get up off the floor because you don't have the mobility in your lower body to do it? Those are the little things that we're talking about. So we have this huge opportunity to enhance our quality of movement, not with the goal of trying to get our clients to move like you or I. We've developed this mastery of understanding the body, understanding limitations, and then bringing that information to anyone that we come in contact with. So that when we move and you see us move, it's not to say, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's to show you, to begin to teach your brain to say, oh, look, we can move towards that. We can practice in moving in that direction. Well, we don't have to swing way over here. Even if you can improve your mobility this much that you could get down and up again off the floor, that's huge. So that way when you're 90 years old, you can still do that stuff, because you don't want to be the 90-year-old being pushed around in a wheelchair. At least I don't want to be. So that's what I bring to my clients and my work, is helping y'all just move better so you can feel better, not just now, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, because that's what we need to think about. Is we need to have a vision of how we want to move as we get older. So that exercise and fitness aren't just about cardio and going to the gym. That is so far away from what we teach. There's a place for it for some people, but it doesn't have to look like that.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said.
Well, excellent. Well, anything else you want to add to that, Marla?
No, I think it's also important to connect it to joy. So do you really want to see your joy in your life gradually kind of go down, down, down? So I think if you can connect to what brings you joy, and then how do you want to maintain your health and your movement levels to maintain that level of joy in your life?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that was a good idea. I love it. Like me, things that bring me joy are just dance parties in the kitchen. So like the 90-year-old I was talking about last week or the week before that still does dances by herself in her kitchen. I want to be that lady, because why not? Life is short to not have joy in it. So we got to figure out what brings us joy and just practice every day those things that can help get us to this place where we can have this joy of moving the body again. So with that being said, we'll let you all go for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want some more information on Marla and her work, you can see her website at marlawaal.com. And for more information on me and what I have to offer, you can see my website at stonebodyworks.com. Until next time, bye for now.